Imagine having the time and money to follow your passions and live life on your own terms. Welcome to Podcasting Mastery, where you'll learn the secrets of podcasting your way to a stress-free lifestyle. Let's grab a cool tropical drink and then join James, Kimberly, and the Turtle in the Secret Beach Hut Studio.
Yes, this is James Martell along with Kimberly Juchnowski.
Hi, everyone.
And we are again tucked into the Secret Beach Hut Studio, and we are so glad you've decided to join us. This week, we are continuing our conversation about developing a lifestyle business so we can all spend less time doing business and more time enjoying our families, more time traveling, and more time doing all of the things that matter to us most. It's for these reasons we continue to focus on strategies for both developing a passive monthly income stream and passive ways of developing new clients and customers for your business. Kimberly, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. How about yourself, James?
Very well, thank you. And I know you have a very interesting topic for us on the docket today.
Yes, I sure do. We're going to talk about Wi-Fi in the car and why it's a really big deal for podcasters.
That's a great topic. And now, before we dig in, why don't you, as usual, kick us off with a little bit of music to set the mood for the show, which, of course, is to work less, earn more, and to swim with the turtles. And incidentally, on that topic, I actually posted a photo on my Facebook page yesterday of the road to Hana. There's a bridge on the island of Maui. Actually, there's about 50 of them on this little winding road, and it reminded me so much of the turtles because that's actually where the idea came from. So well timed.
Yeah, no kidding. My parents are actually in Hawaii right now. They spent the month there.
Wonderful.
Yeah, need like that. This is their second time in like 4 months. So.
Whoa.
Yeah, see if we can get some turtle pics out of them.
There you go.
I know they were going to do some not scuba diving, but snorkeling. I told them to stay out of the water because there's been a lot of shark attacks lately.
Not in Maui.
Oh, there has been.
No, we don't want to hear that. We don't want to hear that.
Exactly. So to put our discussion for today into perspective, James, how did people listen to your podcast in the early days since, you started yours over probably about 12 years ago now?
That's a very interesting question. Yeah, you know what? That will kick it off nicely, considering we're talking about Wi-Fi in the car and why it's a big deal for podcasters. When I kicked off my podcast in 2003, and so we're in our 12th year, listening to a podcast was quite a different experience than it is today, other than for those who listen on their computer, because that's pretty much the same. But taking a podcast with you in the early days was a bit of a challenge because, first of all, we had all these crazy players. Do you remember Real Player and all the old audio players?
I didn't have a computer until I was 24, so not really. Actually, no, I know the Real Player, yeah.
Yeah, but so that means no. But there was all these crazy file extensions like .m3u, and you had to have a high-speed version and a low-speed version or low band because so many people were still on dial-up. So we gave them a really pretty high quality digital, which compared today would be very low quality. We had to give them one where we really shrunk the file because they were so big for the time. And then we also had a streaming version of the audio. So there was basically 5 or 6 different versions of the audio for every episode. So it was really clunky and it took a long time to produce it. And then the players were not overly intuitive. iTunes was around. They were just coming out, but they were so clunky. I absolutely hated them. I just didn't do anything with iTunes back then because of that. But just to get a podcast into your car, what people would do is they'd have to download all the shows, and we'd offer them up as a zip file. They would download each one individually, open it up, and then they would burn them to CDs, which sounds so archaic now. And then all the podcast episodes would be on the CD, and they'd plug it into their player on the car or in the car, and off they'd go. So contrast that to today and what's going on. Podcasting and audio in general online has come a long way.
Yeah, that's so funny. From cassettes and CDs to basically connecting through Bluetooth with your phone, and poof, you have everything right at your fingertips.
It's totally amazing. And I first discovered Wi-Fi in the car was coming, or they were really seriously about getting it going was back. I came across an article in January of last year in 2015. So we're talking, 13 months ago. And the article headline was Android Auto is everywhere at the North American Auto Show in 2015. And so I kind of opened up the article back then, and we'll put a link to it in the show notes, of course. But it talks about how the new Google Android Auto player, which is embedded in your dashboard. Imagine having a tablet embedded in your dashboard, was all the rage and really well received at this auto show. So I kind of dug into the article and I realized, here we go. It's finally arrived. We have literally Wi-Fi in the car. And you mentioned it a second ago, how it works. Why don't you talk about how it actually works?
So for both of them are similar, I guess. Basically what happens is you have your screen that mocks this, especially with Apple CarPlay. It'll mock your screen of your iPhone, so it'll have the same type of icons with podcasting right front and center, which is awesome. And then it pairs your phone with your car. So you can go into all of your podcasts that you have in iTunes and everything like that.
Sure, and in addition, not only just the podcast, there's your telephone is there.
Oh yeah, contacts, Google Maps, everything. So basically, you can talk to people talk to Siri with their phones. You can talk to Siri in your car.
What's interesting, they talk about how dangerous it is for people to be texting in the car. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I am seeing with the player that I'm going to be interested to see how this rolls out as they become more popular is YouTube.
Yeah,
they've got the phone right there, of course, which you can talk to and it'll start playing. You've got music with access to iHeartRadio and all the many radio stations that are available online. Of course, you said Google Maps. You've got messaging. You've got podcasting, but you also have YouTube sitting there. So we're going to actually have a television of sorts embedded in our dashboard.
Well, I mean, people already do. And that sort of came out before this, right? Because they were having the minivans with the little DVD player that comes down or in the back of seats and things like that. Just now you can have it front and center, which wasn't really a functionality before.
Yeah, but think about it from a driver's perspective.
Yeah, it's not good.
It's one thing when it's behind your head, entertaining the kids with the latest Disney movie.
Yeah.
It's a whole other thing when you're watching a TV in your dashboard and you're supposed to be driving.
I'm sure they build in some features where it's like it would only open the app and function if you were stationary or if your car was turned off, but like still on, like the ignition, whatever.
Yeah, I guess.
There's got to be some sort of safety things built into that because watching TV.
Yeah, it's called a
very bad mix.
In my case, be like, do not look at that screen. I will kill you.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, I had a look at the list of car manufacturers that these new players are being built into, whether it's the Apple CarPlay, which is Apple's competitive product to Android Auto. They're really going clear across the spectrum. And they were shipping cars out all last year with these brand new players within them, and which is exciting because one of the last cars we rented had one, and it's amazing. It's amazing. It's really, you do have the power of the internet at your fingertips. And from a podcaster's perspective, what it does for us podcasters is it gives us, if we take a little peek into the future, and I mean the very near future, there's going to be not too long off where most cars will have a player built right into the dashboard. And I think that's exciting because unlike the early days where we had to download them, burn them to a CD, and drop them into the player, now we can access all kinds of podcasts, thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of shows through the dashboard of our car very conveniently, which means our audiences are going to grow and grow and grow because it's just more convenient to be able to get to our shows.
Yeah, ease of access, right? For all of the Apple CarPlay models that are,
Yeah.
All of the car models that are offering Apple CarPlay automatically in their vehicles now is a very substantial list. There's probably about 30 plus in here. I'll just whip through some of them really quick. Acura NSX, Audi Q7 and A4, Buick LaCrosse, Buick Regal. Yeah, there you go. Clearly, I'm a car person. All kinds of different models of Cadillac. There's about 7 in here, including the Escalade. Chevy's really going to town with it. On most of their models, they have it. Chevy Spark, Cruze, Malibu, Camaro, Silverado, Impala, Volt, Corvette, Colorado, Tahoe, Suburban, So they're really going nuts. And that's what I've actually seen a lot of the commercials out lately. So they're really pushing it. Have you seen the one where they don't tell the group what type of car it is, and they're going through all the features, and it's
Yes,
like, Apple
yes, I have.
CarPlay. And then they're like, what is it? Tell me what it is. Oh, it's a Chevy Malibu. So they're really going nuts promoting it, which is great. Even higher end cars too, like Ferrari, they have a ton of their models that have CarPlay in it. Ford Escape, GMC, Honda, Hyundai, Mercedes-Benz has a ton of models. Mitsubishi, Porsche 911 you could get, which I think if I was driving my Porsche, I'd be more interested in driving my Porsche. But still, if you wanted to listen to a podcast, you could. Volkswagen's got a bunch of different models, and Volvo, of course, which is what I drive. A later model, mind you, so didn't come with my car, but it's quite a substantial list there.
You know, which actually is interesting because we drive a Suzuki Grand Vitara and ours doesn't have one either. But I did a lookup on Google, did a search, and in addition to all of these new cars being shipped with either an Apple Player or an Android Auto, there's an entire aftermarket of players. Because let's face it, not everybody needs to buy a new car today. But you can pretty much find a custom player for your own car. And I'd recommend, for those that are interested, in doing a Google search for Wi-Fi in the car, or do a search for Android Auto or Apple CarPlay with your make and model of your car. And without exception, in the last 10 years or the last 10 vehicle years we looked at, every single car that has a built-in stereo now, literally pull it out, put it aside, put the new one back in, and now you've got it built into your dashboard. So just because we don't have maybe a brand new car on the horizon doesn't mean we're not going to also be able to benefit from having one of these players in our vehicles. But in addition, of course, the same with our listeners. And I have a feeling once people start to experience it, it's very much like smartphones. Everybody had, for the longest time, had flip phones, and that was kind of the rage. And then all of a sudden, the iPhone came out, and then everybody had to have one. And then all of a sudden, Samsung comes along and the Android operating system. Now everybody's got a smartphone. And it only took, how many years has it been since that's really happened?
Not very long at all.
Yeah, maybe 3 years, 4 years.
A little bit longer than that.
Yeah.
But pretty new.
Totally. And you look today, everybody, for the most part, who has a cell phone of some sort, has a mobile phone, has a smartphone in their pocket. So it's really quite amazing. So again, now and this is interesting, where is the podcasting? Let's take the Apple CarPlay system, for example. Where is the podcasting button?
Right smack dab in the middle like a bullseye.
It is. It's amazing. And I guess that's not surprising considering Apple owns iTunes, and iTunes has over 1 billion subscribers now. You can kind of see where this is going. And with, all of these radio stations out there, Pandora, iHeartRadio, you've got Spotify coming on the scene, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts. Google has a whole new podcasting audio music service that they've just released as well. You can really see where this is going.
It's time for us to take a short break, and when we return, we'll talk more about Wi-Fi in the car as it relates to those who are not planning on buying a car anytime soon. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
More Podcasting Mastery with James and Kimberly from the Secret Beach Hut Studio after this. Would you love to spend less time doing business and more time enjoying your family, more time traveling, and more time doing all of the things that matter to you most? Whether you're looking to develop a passive monthly income stream, or you're looking for passive ways of generating new clients and customers for your business, James Martell's free podcasting webinar is the place to start. James Martell, an 11-year podcasting veteran, will show you how to quickly and easily launch a podcast that will impress all who hear it to attract all of the clients and customers you need, and how to do it all in less than 1 hour a week using equipment you already own. Register now for this lifestyle and business-changing webinar at podcastingmastery.com/webinar. We'll see you there. Once again, that's www.podcastingmastery.com/webinar.
When James Martell launched his affiliate Buzz podcast in the spring of 2003, he never dreamed he'd be sitting here all these years later with over 3 million downloads and 400-plus episodes. He gets thousands of listeners tuning in each week, but it wasn't always like that. In the beginning, he had to figure things out on his own. There were no books or guides available, so there was a lot of trial and error. And while there are many pieces to the puzzle for constructing a successful podcast, James Martell has boiled it down to the 12 core elements of the No Fail podcast in his most recent free report. Available for a limited time at podcastingmastery.com/no-fail.
Now back to Podcasting Mastery from the secret Beach Hut studio.
Yes, I'm here with my co-host James Martell, and we're talking about Wi-Fi in the car, why it's a really big deal for podcasters, and also we're going to dig into a little bit more about people who aren't planning on buying a new car. How do they get access to this? So James, tell me, what if you don't want a new car, but you just have to have this Apple CarPlay or Android Auto?
So let me flip this around on you, because you have a beautiful car. You've got a Volvo. What's a 2-door sedan? I don't know the model of it.
It's a S60. It's a 4-door.
It's okay, but it's beautiful. Beautiful car, leather interior, but it's a few years old and it doesn't have a player in it. So first of all, let me put you on the side of the consumer, the person that may want to have one of these players. I'll be the podcaster. You're now the person that has a new player in your dashboard.
Ooh.
What do you like about this? Why do you want one, and what would you do with it?
Why do I like it? Because I love my car. I don't want to have to buy a new car to have all these fancy new things in it. Definitely the ease of use, being able to control everything basically by my voice while I'm commuting and things like that. Having access to podcasts on the road. I mean, how often do you get stuck? Well, I mean, we don't commute, so we're very fortunate. However, there's been times, I need to go into the city and you get stuck on the highway for a couple hours, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm listening to the radio, forgot my iPod at home, I'm listening to the same song over and over and over again on all these different stations. I can't get away from Justin Bieber. It's just like, I'm just kidding. His new album's pretty good, actually.
I was just going to call you on that. You told me that. You're now a Bieber fan.
It's true. I'm a believer.
A believer.
But you're listening to the same stuff over and over. If you're stuck in traffic like that, especially if you're somebody who commutes every single day, wouldn't you like to spend your time a little more wisely and either become educated about a topic you're interested in or be entertained by a show that you're interested in? And that's sort of where podcasting comes into it for me, because, I was aching to listen to something a little bit better than the radio when I was sitting on the highway for 2 hours. So definitely just being able to access what you want, when you want, and access it easily. That's huge.
That is huge. And let's face it, local radio isn't what it once was. I remember the early days of radio growing up. You'd be listening to one of the rock and roll stations, and you had great variety and lots of music. It was great. Or talk radio in its day was awesome. Today, it's piped in from all over the place. Shows are syndicated. You get the same show in every city. There's no real localness to it. So I like that. But you know what I also like is the niche-based programming and the whole emergence of audio and audio programming. These players give us access to that. So even if you take podcasting, put that aside, you could tie directly into Audible. So another very interesting thing that I like to see, or that I'm seeing, is the growth, the absolute growth of audio online and audio programming. And I remember back in the early days, very much like the story I shared with the podcast, where you had to download them all, burn them to CD to listen to them in the car. When Arlene and I, my wife and I, took our kids on many trips when they were growing up in the Ford Windstar, the minivan, what we would do is she would go out and she would pick up a bunch of audiobooks. And I think she got them at the local library. She might have bought them, but I'm pretty sure she just took them out of the library. And we would play these audiobooks. We'd be on a long stretch of highway somewhere and just entertain them, keep them busy. We would play these amazing stories, and they would just kind of unfold with the audio. And I thought, this is cool, but it was inconvenient again. Whereas today, now with these built-in players, you can just tie right into Audible, Amazon's Audible, and listen to any audiobook you want. You can access any podcast you want. You can access any talk show, any radio talk show you want, pretty much anywhere in the world. You can access all the music you can ever imagine all through these players. So it's pretty impressive where this is going.
Definitely. Didn't they used to call the internet the information highway?
Yeah.
Okay, well now it's like the cars. That's the information highway.
Oh, I haven't heard that for welcome to the information superhighway.
Seriously, that's what this is.
Yeah.
On a highway getting all your info.
Pretty much. I never really quite thought of it that way. So now, then there's yourself, the little rebel in you with your Blackberry.
Oh.
Let's talk about that for a second, because we're talking about Android, we're talking about Apple, but have you had a little peek? How does this work for you with the Blackberry?
I don't know, actually. You know, I've sort of given up on a few apps that are must-haves because I just don't even try, because either they don't install properly or they're Android portals and, you know, things like that. So I don't think that the actual car systems would work with it. But I do have an Android in addition to my Blackberry, which sounds totally stupid. But I like to test out different phones. It sounds stupid because I always say how much I love my Blackberry, which I do. I think it's fantastic. But as far as podcasting and podcasting apps and things, Android and iPhone are definitely more advanced. And if I get one, I should say when I get one installed in my Volvo, I will definitely be syncing up my Android phone to it.
Yeah, absolutely. They must have some. I mean, Android is a very, very popular phone in other parts of the planet. Just doesn't happen to be here. Mm-hmm. So that's the rebel in you.
It is. It's true. I won't let go of it either. People make fun of me. I don't care.
Is it a flip phone?
No. Oh, God. I remember when you first got rid of your flip phone, so don't even go down that road. Blackberries are awesome, though. They're great phones. They're super functional, sorry. Getting French accent there all of a sudden. And they just integrate really well. I don't know. I could go on and on, but we're not talking about Blackberries. We're talking about Androids and Apple products, so.
Yeah, because they dominate the planet.
They do, yes. Blackberry still dominates business, but definitely. Actually, there's more Android users than there are iPhone users. Oh, but the iPhone heads don't believe that because, you know.
You keep going down this road, I'm going to bring up Trump.
Oh, God, please don't. Right. You already did before we were on. That's not fair.
Yeah. So I think, to kind of wrap this up, Wi-Fi in the car, and it is a big deal to podcasters because this is where it's going. We finally have an emergence of the technologies within the car that make it convenient for people to get access to the programming. So for everybody who's building out a podcast now, we're probably still a little early, but as we've seen with the smartphones, within a few years, they're going to be everywhere. And I don't know what the stats are in the number of cars that were shipped to North America with this, but it's in the tens of millions. It's amazing how much product gets shipped out there in a hurry. And of course, all of these are still fully accessible through the phones, and there's other ways to listen to podcasts as well. So I'm excited about it. Huge variety of content, the growth of podcasting. Local radio not being what it once was is driving people to find more niche-based programming anyways. So this is, I think that the time really is now to really seriously be paying attention to growing our audiences, because this is just another way for our listeners to be able to access our show. So I'm excited about it. Definitely.
And I think one more thing I just wanted to add was people who don't know what podcasting is still, because there's still a lot of people, what's a podcast? What's podcasting? Yep. I'm not too sure. I mean, it's happening less and less frequently now, of course, because it's blowing up, especially in the last year and a half. But people who aren't aware of podcasts or aren't already listening to podcasts, they get into their brand new car, they want to check out all the functions, and they look at this CarPlay, and there's a big podcasting icon right in the middle. They're going to say, ooh, what's that? I want to know how to use this.
Absolutely.
What's in here? Oh, okay. Look at all this stuff I can listen to. So I think it'll actually introduce a wider audience.
I'm sure it will. Absolutely will. So let's before we say goodbye, let's introduce a couple of recent episodes. Let's talk about She Podcasts with Jessica Kupferman. She was amazing, high energy, I don't think she'd take it offensive if I said crazy lady in a very good way.
Oh, totally.
Really awesome. So that was episode number 15, where she also has a podcast called We Listen. So I'd recommend having a listen to that. And Business Coaches and Consultants, episode 14, was how to harness the power of a podcast to land new clients. So I'd recommend a couple of those episodes.
And if you are a business coach or consultant and wondering what it takes to develop a profitable show on your own, James has put together a special report just for you where he lays out 12 core elements of the No Fail podcast. You can download it for free for a limited time at podcastingmastery.com/nofail. And to our podcasting friends, a reminder, if you have your own podcast or podcasting tool that you'd like us to feature here on the show, simply send us the details to feature me at podcastingmastery.com and we may do exactly that.
And if there happens to be something here that we mentioned that you missed, keep in mind that we always keep all the show notes for you, including links to all of the resources that we've mentioned. And you'll find the show notes for this episode at podcastingmastery.com/PM016. Kimberly, thanks so much. And to all of our podcasting friends, we'll catch you in the next episode of Podcasting Mastery.
Thanks for joining us in the Secret Beach Hut studio. If you are ready to start your podcasting adventure and to learn the secrets of creating a profitable podcast, James Martell has boiled it down for you to the 12 core elements of the No Fail podcast in his most recent free report. Available for a limited time at podcastingmastery.com/nofail. But don't wait, this report won't be free for long. So be sure to grab your free copy today to learn the secrets of podcasting your way to a stress-free lifestyle at podcastingmastery.com/nofail.